My friend, today I want to invite you to slow down with me for a moment. No pressure, no rush. Just like two old friends sitting together on a porch, sharing a warm cup of coffee and talking about things we've carried in our hearts for far too long. You've probably heard about the rapture your whole life. You've listened to sermons, read books, maybe even debated the details. But let me ask you something quietly, gently. If it happened tonight, would you truly be ready? I've spent decades in ministry here in the United States. I've sat with believers in their 50s, 60s, 70s, people who have gone to church all their lives, people who can quote scripture, people who are respected in their communities. And yet, when we finally sit down for an honest conversation, I hear confessions like, "I feel dry inside. I pray, but I don't feel anything. I know Jesus, but why does it feel like my heart is standing outside the door?" Have you ever felt that way? Don't be afraid to answer that question within yourself. What I'm about to share isn't meant to frighten you or place a weight on your shoulders. It's meant to awaken something deep inside, a truth you may have sensed for years, but never knew how to name. Jesus told a story that every believer knows well. The 10 virgins, 10 women waiting for the bridegroom, 10 lamps, 10 hearts full of expectation. All of them believed they belonged at the celebration. All of them believed they were part of something sacred, but only 5 were ready. Only 5 had oil. When the bridegroom arrived and the door closed, the unprepared ones heard the words no believer ever wants to hear. "I do not know you." Every time I read that line, something in me grows still, not out of fear, out of understanding. Those women weren't outsiders. They weren't unbelievers. They weren't rebels. They were simply unprepared. They had lamps, but no oil. They knew about Jesus, but they didn't walk with him in intimacy. A pastor friend once told me, "Satan doesn't need to make believers hate Jesus. He just needs to make them busy. Busy enough to forget prayer. Busy enough to neglect quiet moments. Busy enough to let faith become routine rather than relationship. And when busyness becomes a way of life, the oil in our lamp drains out without us even noticing." I want you to imagine something with me. You wake up one morning and the house feels strangely quiet. The neighborhood seems still. People you love, people who walked alongside you in faith, are gone. You're standing there with a lamp in your hand, and for the first time in years, you realize it has no oil left. Not because you rejected Jesus, but because you lived too long on the memory of faith instead of the daily practice of intimacy. If you feel a small ache when hearing that, let me tell you something. That ache is not condemnation. It's an invitation. I've met many older believers who say, "At my age, the Lord knows my heart." He does. But he also wants you to know his heart. Not through church attendance, not through theology books, not through memories of how your faith used to feel, but through the quiet breathing of a real relationship. I once spoke with a woman in Texas, 72 years old, faithful, gentle, respected by everyone. She said, "I read the Bible every day, but it feels like nothing moves me anymore." I asked her one simple question. "When you talk to Jesus, do you wait for him to speak back?" She sat still for a long moment before whispering, "No, I don't." Something shifted in her that day. She began sitting quietly before God, 5 minutes every morning. No agenda, no performance, no pressure, just presence. Months later, she told me, tears in her eyes, "For the first time in decades, I feel him again." That is oil, that is readiness, and that is what Jesus longs to restore in you. You don't need to pray for hours. You don't need to understand every prophecy. You don't need to chase spiritual highs or chase signs of the end times. Jesus isn't asking you to be flawless. He's asking you to be close. if you felt distant from him, if you felt dry, weary, or disconnected, if you've lived on borrowed faith or spiritual memories, listen closely. You are not forgotten. You are not late. You are not beyond repair. The door is still open. The oil is still available. And the one who loves you is still calling your name, softly, patiently, faithfully. He is inviting you back into intimacy, not someday, not eventually, but now. Because readiness isn't about knowledge. It isn't about performance. It's about relationship. When we begin asking the question, do I truly know Jesus or do I only know about him? Many people feel unsettled. I understand that feeling well. Even the most seasoned believers I've spoken to over the years have confessed the same thing. They say, I've followed Jesus all my life, but sometimes I'm not sure where I stand with him. And you know what? That's normal. No one walks with God without experiencing moments of uncertainty. Even the great figures of Scripture had their seasons of confusion. Abraham asked, Lord, where are you? David cried out, My soul thirsts for you in a dry and weary land. Those questions didn't make them weaker. They pulled them deeper. I remember sitting with a man in Arizona. He was in his early 60s, retired, living alone after losing his wife. He told me, I still believe, but it feels like I'm living off old memories. Memories of when faith felt alive. Memories of my younger days in church. Memories of times when prayer was easy. Then he looked down and whispered, But now I feel empty. I sat with him quietly. Then I said, Memories aren't oil. They're only old lamps. What the Lord wants from you isn't who you were back then. It's your heart today. Sometimes what we lack isn't faith. What we lack is warmth, a living relationship. We spend so much time looking backward that we forget Jesus is here in the present. The Jesus who met you years ago is the same Jesus who wants to meet you now. He doesn't want to be remembered. He wants to be encountered. And this is what many unprepared believers in the rapture story never understood. They thought their religious routines would carry them. They thought their good habits were enough. They assumed being around spiritual things meant they were spiritually alive. But a lamp only burns if oil is inside it. A heart only stays awake if intimacy keeps it breathing. I once asked a room full of older believers, if Jesus stood in front of you right now, would he recognize your voice? The whole room grew silent, not because they doubted his love, but because they realized how far their relationship had drifted. Like two spouses living in the same house, yet barely speaking to each other anymore. I don't believe Jesus wants that silence between you and him. That's why Scripture calls us to watch and stay awake. Not awake in fear, awake in spirit, awake in love, awake in sensitivity to his voice. And let me tell you something I've learned from walking with people in their later years. Life goes by quickly. Time slips through our fingers. We can't recover the years gone by, but we can choose how we live today. You and I both know that relationships, real relationships, require presence, attention, and tenderness. Our walk with Jesus is no different. It's not built in crowds or noise. It's formed in quiet moments when we allow him to touch our hearts. When was the last time you felt his nearness? Not a strong emotion, not tears, not excitement, just that gentle sense that he was close. If that question stirs something inside you, that's a sign that he's inviting you back. A Christian psychologist I know in California once told me, as people get older, they don't crave more information, they crave connection. And I think that's true spiritually as well. In our later years, what we want most is not a complex theology lesson. What we want is a place where our soul feels held, seen, known, and steady. And Jesus wants to be that place for you. The beauty is that he isn't asking you for anything grand. He isn't waiting for you to muster passion or strength. He isn't expecting you to pray long prayers or understand every doctrine. All he wants is space in your heart, just enough room to sit with you, because he knows something we often forget. Oil doesn't appear in a crisis. Oil is gathered quietly, drop by drop, in ordinary moments. I once spoke with an elderly man who served in the military many years ago. He confessed that he always struggled to be intimate with God because he had been trained his whole life to stay guarded. He said, "I believe, but I don't know how to be close." I told him, Jesus isn't asking you to be different. He just wants a place inside the walls you've built. Months later, he wrote to me and said, "I finally understand what oil is. It's surrender. Not surrender in the sense of defeat, but surrender in the sense of letting down a lifetime of defenses. When a person surrenders in that way, everything shifts. Their heart softens. Their mind clears. They begin to hear God's whisper again, even in the simple routines of life. A verse they've read 100 times suddenly feels alive. A small prayer suddenly carries weight. A quiet morning suddenly feels holy. And when the Lord returns, these are the people who will recognize him immediately. Not because they were perfect, but because they were close. The lovers of Jesus will never fear his arrival. They'll recognize the voice they've been listening for their entire lives. They'll look up and say, "I know that voice." And he will say, "I know you too." My friend, I want you to listen to this part slowly, because what I'm about to share is the heart of everything we've been talking about. Over the years, I've watched this truth awaken people, move them to tears, and change their walk with God in ways they never expected. Intimacy with Jesus is not an accessory. It's not something you add to your spiritual life when you have time. It is the breath of a living soul. It is the difference between a lamp that merely looks religious and a lamp that truly burns. Let me speak plainly from my own years of ministry. Many believers think they're walking with Jesus, when in reality they're only walking near things that belong to him. They walk near the church building, near sermons, near worship music, near Christian activity. But walking near is not the same as walking with. Being close to church does not guarantee being close to Christ. Being active does not guarantee being alive. Being informed does not guarantee being intimate. And this, my friend, is why so many people carry lamps that have no oil. Why their faith looks right on the outside, but their hearts feel empty on the inside. I once spoke with a man in Tennessee who told me, "I've stood beside Jesus for years, but I don't think I've ever truly held his hand." That statement struck me deeply. It was a confession of a life shaped by religion, yet starved of relationship. You can read every chapter of Matthew, but if your heart doesn't connect with Jesus himself, those words remain ink on paper. You can serve in church for decades, but if you never spend time with him, your service becomes work, not oil. And here is the true climax of this message. When Jesus returns, he is not coming for the most impressive believers. Not the busiest, not the most educated, not the most moral, not the most active. He is coming for the ones who know him, not the ones who know about him. The ones who know his voice, his presence, his whisper. Think of someone you love dearly. You don't need to see their face to know when they enter the room. You recognize their footsteps, their breath, the way the air shifts when they're near. That is what Jesus wants with you. Years ago, an elderly woman in Virginia told me, "When Jesus returns, I want him to look at me and say, 'I know you. You've stayed close to me.'" Her words moved me deeply. They captured the longing every soul feels, whether we admit it or not. We are not living to qualify for the rapture. We are living to belong to him. If you belong to him, the rapture will not terrify you. It will not catch you off guard. It will feel like stepping into the arms of someone you've known for years. Scripture says the day of the Lord will reveal the heart, not punish it. Not grade it like a report card. Reveal it. The ones who miss that moment won't be shocked because they were wicked. They'll be shocked because they assumed they had more time. They assumed their lamp still had oil. They assumed belief alone was enough. But belief is not the finish line. Belief is the doorway. The room inside is intimacy. If you trust a person but never spend time with them, never listen, never talk, never open your heart, what kind of relationship is that? This is the truth I want you to feel deep inside. Intimacy with Jesus is the lifeblood of your spirit. If breath leaves the body dies. If oil leaves the lamp, the flame goes out. I say this not to burden you, but to bring clarity. Jesus is not calling you to be religious. He is calling you to be close, to be His, to know Him, to stay near His heart. Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you could read their mood with a single glance? Jesus longs for that kind of connection with you, not distant, not ceremonial, not mechanical, but close, familiar, tender. When He calls your name, He wants you to say, "I know that voice." And He wants that recognition to come because you've been walking with Him, not just knowing about Him. This is the oil. This is what can't be faked, bought, borrowed, or mimicked. This is what only grows in the quiet spaces of a surrendered heart. My friend, if you've stayed with me to this moment, I don't believe it's by accident. I truly believe the Lord is reaching for your heart, not with pressure, not with fear, but with the same gentle love that has carried you through every season of your life. A love that knows your story, your past, your hurts, and your hopes. Maybe you've walked with Jesus for decades. Maybe you once felt His presence so clearly it brought tears to your eyes. Maybe you've prayed bold prayers, served faithfully, raised your children in the faith. Or maybe, over the years, life has worn you down. You've lost people you loved. You've gone through hard seasons. You've faced disappointments that left quiet cracks in your faith. And little by little, the fire inside dimmed. If that's true for you, I want you to hear this with all the tenderness in my heart. Jesus is not upset with you. He is not disappointed in you. He is not waiting for a better version of you to show up. He wants you exactly as you are right now. Because intimacy doesn't begin with strength, it begins with honesty. It begins with showing up. Over the years, I've watched something beautiful happen again and again. When an older believer finally stops striving, takes a breath, and opens their heart, even a little, Jesus comes close. Not with fireworks, not with loud emotions, but with a presence so calming, so steady, that it feels like a warm hand resting gently on your shoulder. And I believe He wants to do that for you, right now. In the very space where you're sitting, whether you're in your living room, your favorite chair by the window, or lying down to rest after a long day, I want you to know that Jesus is there, not far away, not out of reach. He's closer than your next breath, waiting for you to let Him in. Not through performance, not through perfect prayers, not through religious effort, but through a simple, heartfelt whisper, "Lord, I want to be closer to you." That is enough to open the door, because readiness for His return is not about doing more. It's about becoming more connected to the one who loves you. And when that connection is alive, when the oil of intimacy fills your lamp, you don't fear the rapture. You long for it, not as an escape, but as a reunion. You don't see Jesus as a judge coming to inspect you. You see Him as someone you've grown familiar with, someone you've been waiting for. One day, maybe soon, He will return, and when He does, I don't want you to feel shocked or afraid. I want your heart to recognize Him instantly, the way a child recognizes the voice of a loving parent. I want you to be able to say, without hesitation, "I know that voice. I've been walking with Him." And I believe you can. I believe you still can grow, still can change, still can draw near, No matter your age, no matter your past, no matter how dry you may feel right now, the door is still open. The oil is still available. His invitation still stands. If something in your heart is stirring at this moment, don't ignore it. That stir is hope. That tug is grace. That quiet warmth is His Spirit knocking gently. And if you want to respond, you don't need fancy words. You can simply say in your heart, "Jesus, renew my oil. Draw me close again. I want to know you, not just know about you." Say it gently. Say it honestly. That is enough. Because when you take even one small step toward Him, He takes 1,000 toward you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for opening your heart. May the Lord bless you, bless your home, and bless every year you have left on this earth. Stay close to Him. Keep your lamp filled. The one who loves you is coming sooner than you think.